Hello everyone, this is Benjamin Ramirez, 23rd game. Um, I don't like to move e3. I don't really never looked into it. I haven't seen many people who played it. I just think it's kind of weird. So I just simply put everything towards the center. I mean, I really have no idea what the point is or if there's any type of traps or anything. So, e3, e5, knight to c3, d5. Alright. Alright. Well, I can start developing to attack the c2 square with my bishop and knight. I like the idea of that. So I'm going to start probably castle queenside. Okay. And that kind of stops that idea for right now. If he goes e4, if I take with a pawn, he can take it with his knight. I won't be able to really do much, so I'm going to pin his knight. I like that. Normally it's not a good idea to trade, but I kind of want to get as much control over the center as possible right now. I mean, if I move back, let's say he goes b4, I go to b6, bishop b6, I'll be targeting the f2 square, kind of, which is actually a nice place for my bishop. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to accept and move back. I kind of want to take fight for the center, but I do like where he would be at. Well, that's perfectly fine. I like where he's at. I can always attempt to move my pawn up. Oh no, he just literally gave me the square I wanted, that I was happy attacking. I'll take. He takes. I wanted to attack that c square. I think I still can. The c2. If I take his queen with my queen, he moves. I get my bishop after that. I can actually attack the e4 pawn again with knight to f6, so I can bring my bishop back. So I'm going to take his queen first, because we don't need queens. Queens are for beginners. Nobody likes them anyways. Bishop to g6. Alright, he's attacking my pawn. The idea is knight to c6, knight to either d or b4. Alright, I'm gonna do knight to c6 because I wanna wait a second. He can bring his pawn down one, force move my knight again. If he takes on e5, I say go to knight to c6. He goes bishop. He goes b5. I have nowhere really to move my knight. That's good. If I go knight to d4, he can just take my pawn. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I can go f6, not knight to f6, but just f6 by itself. So I have to decide between defending the pawn by going knight to d7 and not doing my attack on the c square, and going f6 afterward to take the pawn, which right now he can't adequately defend the pawn. If I go knight to d7, he castles, I go up. What can he do to adequately defend it? If I knight to d7, he castles, I move up. I can... He doesn't have... If he moves his knight... Yeah, he doesn't have a way to actually defend that pawn, so I'm gonna move knight to d7, then knight g knight to f6. I might as well. So I decided to give my attack on c2 because I see a potential attack on e4. Starting to learn a little bit more, which is nice. Trying to find weak spots and squares, and there's such thing as over defending, and if there's such thing as over defending, then there should be something over attacking. So, not that there is something called that, but that's usually how you just capture pieces for free. Okay, he is... If I take, he'll take back. I'll go knight to f6, attacking his pawn twice. He has no actual way to defend it. Or attack it now. Since I think I can take a pawn, I'm just going to take the piece now and win the pawn. And then after winning the pawn, trade everything I can and basically win the endgame. So that's going to be the game plan for me. Attack the pawn, I really checked into that. I think it's fine. He is... I'm gonna have to castle queenside. I didn't consider this move, but I don't see it as a hindrance either. So okay, he castles. I get to take the pawn for free. I like better taking with the knight. The bishop actually seems pretty interesting too, because I can force more trades. Yeah, I'm gonna take with the bishop so I can force more trades, because I want to do that. Okay, that's perfectly fine. I wanted to attack c2, and I am now, just not the way I wanted to. Obviously I let go of that, so I lost the pawn that I won. That's why I did all that work to lose a pawn that I won. Well, he does have a weak isolated pawn now. Now his knight has... Where can his knight go? Can't go down towards me. He can't go to f or d7. He can't go to g or c6. He can't go g or c4. he can only go to f3. It's the only square he can go. So I can target the knight. He moves f3. Target the rook. Okay, I think I can win the pawn back. I did all this work to get a pawn to lose it, to try to find out how to get the one behind it, because I knew it was already going to be weak. Attack the rook. He has to move the rook somewhere, and then the pawn's mine. All this work for a pawn. All this work for a pawn. Pawn is not mine yet, but it still is mine. I am going to get that pawn. I have actually another pawn right here, but I will still get that pawn too. I would play more in dark squares if I can, whenever I can, because he only has a light square push-up. Okay, targeting my bishop. I'm gonna do this because I don't see any way he can actually attack my king. So I'm going to move that pawn that way. He's defending his pawn some more. I'm attacking his pawn some more. So we're attacking his pawn twice. It's defended twice. And my knight to d5. That'd be a third attacker on the pawn. And he has 3 defenders on it. I'll also be attacking his rook. And his rook cannot move to a space and defend that pawn at the same time. So he'll be losing a defender there. So I'll be doing that. Anywhere he moves, that pawn is mine. That'll be a second pawn. Okay. Now that it's a second pawn, if I take on my knight, his bishop has nowhere to go. I can take the bishop anywhere she goes. And I want to force trades. So I'm going to take off my knight, because no matter what he does, I can take his bishop. I mean, unless he takes my knight off his rook, then we can trade. But I don't think he wants to do that. Okay, I will take his bishop. Rook takes it. I can take his rook. He'll take off his knight. I don't know how good that would be for me, because knight versus bishop at the end of pawns, he would have more play than me. I mean, I have 2 extra pawns, but it's 1 on each side, so it's not super strong. If it was both on the same side, it would be awesome. I'm gonna start moving my king up for the pawns. If he moves his rook out the way for any reason, he did. I can call check and take his rook right here. He takes. If I take with my rook and call it check, he would have to move his king down. And I can keep my rook on the second rank. I think that'd be fine. I think I can pull this off. Then I have to move my rook away, obviously. Go after a pawn that I'm not going to capture. Okay. Figured as much. So I get to move my king up and start trying to take advantage of my extra pawn over here in hopes to make a queen or make him lose a piece. So he's going after my bishop. I mean, he can have the bishop. I mean, he'll take it, I'll take it. If he takes my pawn, I take his pawn. I mean, that's perfectly fine with me. Perfectly fine. I don't want to complicate it. I want to move, I'm not sure what I'm going to move on, maybe c5 or a5, but I'm not sure if that would complicate it. You know, I'm going to do c5. Not interested in complicating it, but why not? You know? I'll take here. I kind of figured that much. His knight can only go back if I go here. Okay. I'm not 100% sure what move to make, so I don't want to make one. I'm thinking about a5. I know if I move my king down to c7, he would just go knight to a6. So a5 would make sure he doesn't block my pawn. I'm going to do that. I don't want him to block my pawn. And I'm going to make sure his knight can't go anywhere by keeping my king where it's at. I don't see why he would go to a7 on his own. I mean a6 on his own. Oh, he did anyways. Extremely odd. I'm just going to ignore it. I don't see what he can do from there. So let's start marching these ones up. See if I can force something to happen. His rook, I don't know where he can move his rook to benefit himself. And I don't see where he will move his knight to benefit himself either. Okay. I can take that rook. If I call check with my king, my rook, he can't go to g2 because the bishop. He has to go to f2, and if my rook over to f1 check, he will have to win. I take his rook, and we trade rooks. And I think I want to trade rooks with him, so I'm going to do that. Check. That was the wrong move. I was expecting to trade rook for rook. Now I think I get the rook for free, I believe. Because I can go down and do a2 check. And his king would have to move out the defense. Unless he moves his pawn up. If he goes g4 for his pawn, and then I call check and move his king up. And then he will still be down to exchange. If I call check, okay, he still is unable to defend his rook. They probably resign here. I was thinking about trading rooks and then using my king to block off his knight, and then using the pawn majority and bishop together to make a queen. That's what I was considering on. That was a good game. I've want something opening. A little weird. When you think you did well, and the computer is like, nope, you blunder. You made a mistake. That's a lot. I like that. This is what I first considered for more center control. I went against it. I don't see how that's a blunder because... Wait a second. I have a check that is very nice. Yes, it is. That was a free piece. Yeah, this one I was unsure on. I don't even know what a good move is here. Bishop back. I guess, but I didn't even know what to do. Want Crude opening. And he doesn't even know it's an opening. So it's not opening he even studies, he just likes to do that. I can see why it helps. C6 helps strengthen the center. My idea was to come in here. 1 second. After he plays. If he didn't do that, let's say he went like this or something like that, and I hit tuck and he tuck. My idea was to come in at some point and try to attack this square right here. That's pretty much what I was interested in, was that square. Obviously he can defend. There's like so many ways to defend and block it, but I was interested in that square. I like it. So that was interesting though. Here I wanted to take advantage of the... He made it super easy. Yeah, whenever a bishop's on a diagonal, you want to make sure your pawns are blocking it. You don't want to move your pawns out the way for sure. He literally gave me that diagonal with my bishop. I worked so hard for those pawns. here, I was expecting him to do that. I called check. He moves anywheres. And then that's what I was expecting. After this, my thought process would have been to basically use my bishop to keep, first off, obviously try to keep the king away from that. If he tries to do something like this, you know, and try to block me off, my idea would have been more or less to try to keep, if I couldn't make a queen because he was blocking me off, my idea would have been to my king over towards his knight in hopes that he would actually move it out the way so I can make a queen this way. So my goal is to make a queen regardless of what he did. That was my, you know, and obviously his king can't really do anything, you know, he can't. So that was kind of my idea of what to do after the trade, but he made it easier.